Well, hello guys, and welcome to this video. I'm going to go ahead and make it. I know yesterday in class we discussed the introduction to some of this, so hopefully this will not take too long. So I just want to go through some more examples so that you have those. Again, what we're looking at here is performing operations with functions. So what we're going to be looking at is, in terms of operations, is how to add or subtract and multiply and divide, and look at synthetic substitution. So those are really the ones that we're going to look at on this video. We'll come back and talk about domain and range when everybody's in class, and the composite of functions as being the last piece of it. So let me go ahead and just give you some examples here to look at it, and then you will have a worksheet also on Google Classroom that you will need to do, and I will post it with answers so you can check yourself. So again, all we're really talking about is just adding some polynomials together, binomials, trinomials, whatever the case may be. And again, it could be written in two different ways. One where they just write f of x plus g of x, or you might see it as f plus g. And again, the key is here is you're just adding the functions together, so please don't make it very difficult on you. So I'm going to write you a couple of functions. And so f of x is going to be my first one, and we'll just do, let's say 3x squared plus 2x minus 5, and then we'll call g of x to be, let's just do x squared minus 3x plus 2, something very easy. Okay. So if we want to do f plus g of x, then all we're really going to do is just put those two together and add them. I'm actually going to rewrite this down here so I can put it. So f plus g of x, that is my favorite way to write it versus the top one. So it's simply going to be 3x squared plus 2x minus 5 plus x squared minus 3x minus 2. Okay, and so then it becomes just like the problems that we did on our warm-up quiz. So f plus g of x then would be, I'm just going to add them up, 4x squared minus x minus 7. And I'm done. That is it. That's all I have to do. That is a final answer. If all they say is just to add them, that's your final answer. Okay, now, we will talk about the substitution piece of it in a little while, the synthetic substitution, because if they say, what is f plus g of 3, let's say, then what they're telling you is you're going to take that same equation and you're going to, whoops, sorry, that's jumping around. You're going to put a 3 for my x. And then we just have us an order of operation, and you can simplify that, okay? I'm not going to take the time to do it, but you can do that. Okay, our next one is a subtraction. So I'm going to go ahead on this one and just use the same f of x and g of x. So if I ask you for f minus g of x, excuse me, then I would need to write this out. There's my f of x minus, and you do want to keep parentheses, my g of x. So just like what we talked about in class, since this is a minus, you're going to want to distribute that all the way through. So I would go ahead and rewrite this as minus x squared plus 3x plus 2. And then go ahead and combine your like terms. So in this case, we have 3x squared minus x squared, which would be 2x squared. 2x and 3x is 5x. And a negative 5 and a positive 2 would be a negative 3. Okay? Again, if they ask for f minus g of, let's say, 2, then I would just come in here and I would put a 2 for the x. Now you would need to finish that, but that would be what you would do. Okay? I am going to switch to a different problem, make it a little bit easier for multiplication, just so we don't have to do a trinomial times a trinomial. So let's make this time, let's do f of x be just, I'll do something easy. Let's do x plus 2 and g of x be x minus 3. We'll give you something really easy. So if they ask for f of g of x, and they might also write it without the multiplication. Okay, they won't up here generally. But you might see it like that. It doesn't mean multiplication. So again, we're just going to multiply. So my f of x times my g of x, and all we're going to need to do is run a FOIL. So all the things that we've been doing, we're just putting it again as a different notation. And then go ahead and get your combined like terms. Okay, so hopefully that piece doesn't cause you any problems, because that's what we've been doing. Okay? So again, if they ask for f dot g or f times g of, let's say, 2 again, then I would just come there and I would put a 2 in. Okay, and then just simplify that. Okay, hopefully that makes sense to you. And then our final one is our division problem. And this one could look like multiple ways. I'm going to show you the way that we will see it more so later on. So I'm going to give you this time your f of x as being, let's see, what do I want it to be? X squared plus 2x minus 3. And I'm going to let your g of x be x squared minus 1. So difference of 2 squares. So if I want you to give me f of g of x, okay, it says to divide those two. Now we did long division, which could definitely be one of these problems out. And you could long divide this if you wanted to, and I could show you how to do that. But the way we're actually going to be doing this one here is we're going to factor, guys. So this is your quadratic. So we're going to just do our factors. So to get x squared, we've got to have an x and an x. What are factors of a negative 3? That will give me a positive 2. So that would be positive 3 and a minus 1. Hopefully that makes sense to you. And then I'm going to go to the same, and in the denominator, I'm also going to factor. And hopefully you recognize that as a difference of 2 squares. Okay, so to get the x squared, we would have to have an x and an x. To get the negative 1, so factors of a negative 1 that add to give you 0 because there's nothing in the middle, and that would have to be your plus 1 and your minus 1. And if you look at this problem here, since it is a division, we know that anything divided by itself is 1, or it'll cancel. And so my actual answer to this problem would look like this. And that would be your final answer. Now we'll talk more in detail about division. It's going to pop up more so for the next chapter, or I should say the rest of this chapter on there. But those are some examples of just your operations. So please don't make them very difficult. Add, again, is just to add your polynomials. Whatever they give you, f and g are, just add them up, add like terms. Same thing with subtraction. Just be sure that you always change the signs on your second one. Multiplication, again, is just either FOIL or box method, whichever you want to do. Division, generally, you're going to need to either long divide, like what we did on the board today, where we set it up, with something like x plus 3 and x squared plus 2x minus 3 or something like that. You're either going to do that or you're going to factor it like I just showed you here. Okay? The last one is just the substitution, which I've already showed you up above. If they give you a function, maybe it's f of x equals 2x minus 3, and then they say, okay, find f of 1. That simply means to put a 1 for your x and to simplify. Okay, 2 times 1 is 2, minus 1 minus 3 is 1. And so we would say that f of 1 is 1. And we did that at the very beginning of the year. Okay, what that will actually become is our point that we'll graph. So that's the 0.11. Okay. The other one, and I don't know that I'll have you do any of this evening, but I will go ahead and write this down there. So again, let's say our problem was f of x equals 2x minus 3. And I asked you to do f of n plus 1. Let's say something like that. What I'm telling you to do is in place of the x, I want you to put the n minus 1. So I'm going to go right here where this x is, and I'm going to put an n minus 1. So 2 times n, or n plus 1, sorry, and then minus 3. So f of n plus 1 would be 2n plus 2 minus 3. And again, this part over here, guys, this is not an equation to solve. This is just like y equals 2n minus 1. And that would be your final answer. You're not going to do anything past that. Okay? So again, this would be your final answer here. And this would be your final answer here. Okay? So hopefully that makes sense to you. Fill that out. Again, look at the worksheet that is below. And then if you have any questions, we'll just talk about it when you guys get back from your Kairos trip. Okay, see you later.